Okay, welcome everybody to our regular meeting for the City Council of City of Perry. Let's start off with having roll call.
Coffee.
Here.
Bledsoe.
Here.
Marshall. Here. Davis. Colnar.
Here.
Rupp.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
O'Shea. Here. Wortham.
Here. We've got quorum. Tonight we also had Nate's evaluation, so I asked if he wanted to throw up a prayer for us tonight and offer our invocation.
And I said yes. Let's pray. Father in heaven, we are grateful to be gathered here tonight as city representatives. We're thankful for the chance we have to work and to strive for the betterment of Perry. We pray that we can be mindful of those not in this room tonight, that we can think about them and how we can help the city be better for them. Father in heaven, we're thankful for all those who serve. We're thankful for the talents that thou hast blessed us with in this room. We pray that we can use those talents to glorify thee. And we offer this prayer humbly in the sacred name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Nate. All right. Item 1, our consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second. Okay. Discussion on that. Let's have roll call.
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Colnar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
O'Shea.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes.
Crazy.
Item 4, comments from those assembled pertaining to items on the agenda. Don't believe we have anyone. Item 5, proclamations, commendations, reports, and inquiries by the governing body. So we'll begin with our council reports. Ward 1. Scott?
The only thing I got this week was a question, and I asked it last time, but any new updates on the American Best Inn?
Yeah, the latest I have, and Bryce might have something more recent, but the latest I have is ODOT finished their study, and we were just waiting for the engineers to come up with a plan based on that study. Do you
That's
have
correct.
Thanks, Bryce.
Between ODOT and the engineer of ASIF. Yes. But they've given their recommendation to them, and the engineers communicated back to ODOT, and they've got to work that piece up.
Are there any indication when they might actually start doing something?
Yeah, well, he's very hopeful that it's going to happen quickly because, everything depends on time under his contract. So he's wanting it quicker than you do. Yeah.
I'm sure, maybe.
Maybe.
Well, maybe not.
Yeah, and maybe I'll just speak to this because I know people ask about this a lot, but at the end of the day, this is, it's really not a whole lot different than your neighbor taking a long time to build a house. We have we have $0 invested in this right now. We have a commitment to pay if they do certain things, but at the end of the day, it's like, we can't tell them to really hurry up. We don't have anything invested. So I understand people are impatient and want something done, but this isn't on the city. It's a private developer.
And the proof on their side is the purchase price of that property was significant. And the fact that they've engaged engineers, they've done, they put out the money for the traffic study, they're continuing to put out dollars for this project, dollars that that no developer would be doing if they didn't have the prospect that it was going to come together.
And I guess that is probably the concern that I'm getting the most is, is it really going to happen or whatever? But like you just said, Bryce, they're invested. So.
And if it doesn't, we have an eyesore and a place that was involved in sordid activity that is gone, and it would be available for some other development. But I don't want to talk about it that way because this is still moving forward.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Shay?
Nothing at this time.
None? Okay. Ward 2, Joe?
Nothing right now.
No. All right. 3?
No.
Okay. Randy?
The only thing I've heard in the last month, I've had a couple of different constituents ask me about water pressure, and is there something new that's happening, or what's caused it? I don't know if it was just random events in their area, but I think just concern over our water system in general, and any water pressure drop has a concern.
Yes, if anyone sees any kind of a drop, they need to reach out to our water department.
Well, they've been
That's-
doing hydrant testing.
They've been doing hydrant testing, but really, I mean, if you see a drop, you should just reach out to them. They can let you know what's going on, you know. So, yeah, great concern, and that's what they're there for, you know. Our residents pay them to be there to answer those questions.
Yeah. Anything else, Randy?
No.
All right. Derek? All right, I don't either. So we'll go on to item number 6, our city manager report.
I actually don't have anything I wanted to report on. I sent council a memo about a couple of internal updates, but it's going to be a long meeting, so I thought, you know, we'll forego this tonight and move on.
We appreciate that.
Unless there's any questions, you know, I'm always happy.
Any questions for Nate? All right. Well, thank you, Nate. All right, item 7, our CFO remarks.
I'll make mine even quick also. You know, for the most part, you guys have seen a lot of budget work. So not on top of the monthly stuff that we've normally done this month, but budget work took a significant amount of time this month. Hopefully next year, even next year we'll make it less. As far as that goes, we had the FOP union negotiations a couple of times, some economic development project agreements and those pieces that we were involved with. The insurance renewal came up for health insurance. That was a piece that worked through with Dave, making sure numbers and how we're going to budget that and propose that in the budget was a significant piece. There's some E911 pieces, and we got the SANI report filed with the state auditor for 2024. So that's we file that whenever the audit is complete, and so that was filed this month. So I'll get all of those things out of the way, and we're on to the big month of June, which is adopting a budget. Hopefully we'll get that knocked out tonight. Life will be good.
All right. Thank you, Russ. Any questions for Russ? All right. Item number 8, presentation by our city attorney.
Yes, as Russ said, May is always busy. Not only the budget, but there's contracts that need to be renewed, there's negotiations that need to happen, and all that work seemed to occur in May. I was going to comment on ASEP's project, but I already have. Before this meeting, I did call Keith Wilson on Cottage Edition. He said this rain has slowed down dirt work out there. He's got a contractor that's ready to get started, but when you're pouring this much rain into a community, it becomes very difficult to start. But there's no problem with the project. He intends to start. There's no issue there. So that was very helpful, and I spoke to him this morning, or this afternoon. Been working intently with Project Duke on title commitment issues, on issues surrounding that. Their attorney and I have been working through those. And then also on the zoning pieces that you're going to have tonight, the site plan, and also the amendment to the I-1 zoning district. I felt that was a better way to cure that issue than to go through a use by review process. I met with Jared on Seth Wadley. He did know about everything that we had spoken about, all those issues. He was fully aware of them, and Seth is fully aware of them. And after speaking to them, he had Jared sign the contract that got sent in. I saw today, I believe, that got emailed into the Oklahoma Finance Authority. So we ought to start getting those dollars. Still, there's some more work they need to do before we can line out that agreement with him on the road. As I spoke, lots of land use work, including Board of Adjustment notices and orders. This work on Project Duke, the historic preservation work, kind of read some law review articles, became an authority if I needed to be one at that HP meeting. Did lots of contract extensions, including the E911 extension, amendments to the YMCA agreement, and prepared a bunch of budget resolutions. I think the administrative section speaks for itself, worked on a lot of agendas, went to a lot of meetings, including but not limited to the FOP meetings, of which we had one today, and we'll make a report tonight in executive session. So May was very busy. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Bryce. All right, item number 9. So now we're going to conduct our public hearing on the proposed fiscal year 2025-2026 general fund budget and other budgets of the Perry governmental component entities, including the Perry Municipal Authority and Perry Facilities Authority. Receive input from the public, discuss revenues, transfers, expenditures, and all related financial issues.
Yeah, so this was discussed extensively in the last meeting. We went through all the capital expenditures, rested a piece on operations. We had the opportunity to meet with 6 council members and answer individual questions that they had. But this is the meeting to adopt this budget. So I guess the question is, are there any changes or recommendations at this point that you want us to consider before adoption?
Well, we can take that in item number 10. This part is just for the public.
If anybody has anything to
Right.
say,
Yeah.
they need to say it, including the council.
Okay.
But,
Mhm.
this is our published notice and time for the public to speak up about our budget.
Right. All right. Seeing how we have no one here, we'll go ahead and close that public hearing. And we'll move on to item number 10. Consider approval of resolution number 2025-07 of the City Council of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, adopting and approving its fiscal year 2025-2026 general fund and other budgets and appropriating the revenues for the stated purposes as contained in the budgets, directing the mayor, city manager, and city clerk to take any and all additional actions as may be required for the implementation of this budget. Yeah, so again, any questions on the budget?
I do need one change made in the resolution. The dollar amount of total appropriations will be $8,169,635. $7,000 increase. Those were there today. The discussion related to the GIS software, the extra $7,000 on it. So from $5,000 to $12,000.
Could you say that number one?
$8,169,635. It's a $7,000 increase.
So when we make a motion, we'll need to include that correction.
With that.
As amended.
Right.
So 8,169,635.
Yeah. And it's the number in the packet. It's set in front of you.
I make a motion to approve the resolution 2025-07 to adopt and approve the fiscal year 25-26 general fund and the budgets with the total appropriation being amended to $8,169,635.
I'll second it. With that, any other discussion? None, let's have roll call.
All right, Coffee,
Yes.
Bledsoe,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Coldarn,
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
O'Shea,
Yes.
Worthing.
Yes. All right. Budget for you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
All right, item 11, consider approval of ordinance number 2025-10 of the City Council of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, amending Chapter 18 of the Perry Municipal Code 2022 by the amendment of Section 17-607E entitled Solid Waste Collection and Disposal Rates, providing for a 2% increase in solid waste collection and disposal rates, providing for repealers, savings, codification, severability, effective date, and declaring an emergency.
Motion approved.
Second.
All right, roll call.
Coffee,
Yes.
Bledsoe,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Calderon,
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
O'Shea.
Yes.
Worthing.
Yes.
Motion on emergency.
Second.
And that is for item number 12, which is consider application of emergency clause to ordinance number 2025-10.
Sorry.
So we do have a motion, and we have a
Second.
second.
And Coffee,
Yes.
I
Bledsoe,
didn't
Yes.
do that.
Marshall,
Yes.
Calderon,
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
O'Shea.
Yes.
Worthing.
Yes. Item 13, consider recommendations for the Perry Planning Commission. Receive and consider recommendation for Perry Planning Commission on ordinance number 2025-11.
Yeah, so the background on this one is we did a slight change to the zoning the planning commission approved, and that's the I-1 zoning. The change we made was to explicitly allow for distribution centers, which was the intent already in that industrial park, but it wasn't explicitly stated in the ordinance, so we made that change. Planning commission approved it, and now we'd like to recommend to the council approval.
So moved.
Second.
And Coffee,
Yes.
Bledsoe,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Calderon,
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
O'Shea.
Yes.
Worthing.
Yes. All right, 11B, consider approval of ordinance number 2025-11 of the City Council of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, amending Chapter 12, Article 2, Division 5 of the Perry Municipal Code 2022 by the amendment of subsection 2.I and 2.J to Section 12-289 by the addition of distribution and/or warehousing centers as a permitted use to the I-1 Industrial Light Zoning District, and to permit other uses in keeping with the general description of the district but not specifically listed without the necessity of requiring a use by review hearing, relettering the balance of the section, deleting the use by review procedure for substantially similar uses not listed, providing for repealers, savings, codification, severability, penalty, and declaring an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
And Coffee,
Yes.
Bledsoe,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Calderon,
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
O'Shea.
Yes.
Worthing.
Yes. 11C, consider application of emergency clause to ordinance number 2025-11.
So moved.
Second.
And Coffee,
Yes.
Bledsoe,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Calderon,
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
O'Shea.
Yes.
Worthing.
Yes. And 11D, receive and consider a recommendation from Perry Planning Commission on application for site plan review filed by Dustin Cleveland, representative of BHD Land Development LLC, for a site plan review of a distribution center to be located in the Perry Industrial Park, parcel number 7 and number 10, south of John Wayne Boulevard. Consider approval of the site plan addressing and perhaps adding any on-site or off-site improvements to be installed by the applicant as a condition of approval.
So Dustin is here. Maybe Dustin, you might come up, I'll introduce you real quick. So what was already mentioned there is Dustin's a representative of BHD Land LLC, but what wasn't mentioned is he flew out from Arizona to be here. So we're really grateful to have him, and gonna let him kind of introduce himself a little more, answer any questions that the council has, and we'll go from there. So, appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. BH Defco is very excited about this project. It'd be a great opportunity for us to expand our portfolio a little bit into Oklahoma. We've got a couple other projects here in Oklahoma as well, so happy to be here, and it's always a pleasure to work in this state. So, do we have any project-specific questions?
It's not a dry heat here.
It's going to be 108 next week in Phoenix.
Yeah, so maybe just as a additional background, again, this was approved by Planning Commission right before this meeting unanimously. They didn't have any specific questions or conditions with that approval. So you guys can ask any questions that you have to Dustin, and then I think the final thing is to maybe talk about any on or off-site improvements that council would like to see. And ultimately, we're not in a place, we don't have all the answers we need to finalize those negotiations now. But if you approve it, we would like that to be contingent upon me working with Dustin and his team to negotiate and finalize those on and off-site improvements.
Would that be like the street?
Correct.
That's one of my, like, how you gotta work with the roads that are there, so. But
Yeah,
that's-
we're currently looking at John Wayne. It's in pretty rough shape, and as far as the frontage road that's actually on the property, you know, we need to know what those profiles need to be, if there's any curb and gutter, and those are kind of the terms that we're working through now.
So Dustin's team has pulled core samples of that road. They're sending them to the engineer, Matt Coe, and he's gonna come up with kind of a recommendation that we'll look at together and work through it. Will make sense for both of us.
But an approval tonight will not interfere with those negotiations, correct?
Correct, yeah.
I think it includes it in the, with her condition of approval. Do we need any additional?
Yeah, I would say that you'd make a motion to approve the site plan conditional upon the on and off-site improvements to be successfully negotiated between the city and the developer. And I think we're well on the way, but it's always good, you know, that's permitted, of course, under our ordinance, and you know, we are early, but we're trying to check all the boxes early because we're very excited about this project.
I think
And,
we're all
you know,
excited about this project.
Yeah.
yeah, if there is
We're excited
any,
if we knew
a
about
part
it.
of this that we need to cover, we will bring that, you know, back to you. But we want to move this along as you do too, so.
Do we have a timeline yet?
We would
Roughly.
commence at the end of this year and open next summer.
Motion to approve site plan review contingent upon any on-site or off-site improvements being successfully negotiated.
Second.
That work for you, Bryce?
Yes.
And Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes. Sorry.
O'Shea. Wood.
Yes.
I was thinking.
Item 14. Discuss and give direction to city manager regarding the HP Historic Preservation District map to be attached to the public notice for future public hearing.
I'd like to ask council if they don't mind to table this so that the HP committee can meet prior to this, as well as I have had several people ask for me to meet with them individually after our town hall, and I haven't had a chance to meet with all of them. If council's okay with that, I'd motion to table until HP can meet.
The question is just for input though, correct? We're not.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
discuss and give direction to the city manager regarding this. So, I mean, we can still have discussion on it.
Discuss.
Yeah, so I guess before we table it, what was everybody's thoughts on the town hall meeting? Those that attended?
Felt like people had some opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was pretty
And-
clear. Yeah,
They do reduce the area.
right.
And I know we're not New York City, but going there and talking to some of the places where we went, some of the iconic places that are there would not be there if there was not a historical preservation society there to mark those buildings or those areas as to be preserved. I was like, well, yeah, I know we're not in New York City, but still, I mean, if we want to preserve and bring in tourism based on our history, then that's something that we should probably do.
I think I would agree with that too, that no matter what the input was from that meeting, we still need a district. It may not need to be that size, but it also just makes it very clear to me that you've got to make sure you communicate properly. I talked to several people that were upset because the first letter they got, it showed a giant circle.
Yeah.
Instead of the actual outline of the deal, that were there, that once they got there realized my property's not even in the proposed district. And so I think as we look back at some of these things and we do a lessons learned, we got to make sure that going forward we don't make those same mistakes again. But I would agree that we've got to do something. I mean, several of the complaints were around, why don't you do something with this dilapidated building or that? Well, it's because we don't have the regulations to go do it. And so I think it's critical that we put something in place. I just think we need to make sure that we've really thought through what that first baby step looks like.
And communicate what that means properly.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah.
I heard two different kind of thoughts. One is, of course, bring it back to around the square. And the other, and these were from some business owners, is that if we're going to talk about preservation, I'd really like to talk about, I mean, it's hard enough just keeping roofs from leaking, and having a facade, a beautiful facade is one thing and important, but so is having buildings that we can keep safe and functioning. So those were just, some were like, just bring it back, others were like, I don't like it. I am interested to know, and maybe this isn't anything we know at this point, but to your point, as far as money or economic development based around preservation, is that something that we know? And I know that we talked about grants and such, but if you look at the dollars attached to that, how real could that be? And how much will our business owners get behind that, as opposed to economic development because things are happening? And I agree completely about, in hindsight, I get it, but like as far as, I love that people were there, willing to talk. I think it showed how much people care. They just came in ready to fight, and I think it was because of they felt like there was a reason to.
Mhm.
But I think people were happy after it was over.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the folks that I talked to, similar thing, was that the main message that I got was to drop back to at least around the square, and then possibly looking at landmarks outside of that. But, I think if we did start smaller, let's be successful and then grow, rather than taking on such a big area in the beginning.
I think the Methodist Church had a valid point that as their population is shrinking, and I think other churches could say the same, that if when they rebuild, it won't be the size, and I think as long as there's that flexibility to have those conversations.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So what do you want as far as action from the administrative team? Would you like us to, our plan was to bring back some potential proposals of a smaller district and what that might look like. But happy to do anything else that council would like us to.
So that's item 14. You guys had some maps provided, right?
We do, yeah, we have some that we can take a look at tonight, if council
Mhm.
wants to do that. And I have a document pulled up that we can put on the screen.
No? I think we can take a look at it real quick.
Okay. Tyson, will you share my screen, please? So obviously there's, option one would actually be the status quo, right? What did we originally propose, which is always on the table. Now, I think based on what you, council, said and the feedback that we all got, I think the idea is to shrink it down. And so that's what these options really are. The first option would be just the interior of the square, the facades of all those buildings are directly around the square. Second option would be option 1 plus any landmarks like the train depot, maybe the Shady Lady or the Heritage Building, whatever, you know, council would recommend in terms of landmarks around town. Are there, I guess one question, are there any other landmarks that come to mind right away that we missed that would be a priority for the council? Or any up there that you would nix?
Nate, when you say mix, like any that are outside, like those 3 you said?
Oh, like taking off.
Yeah,
of those three.
any of those 3 that you would get rid of or add. Yeah, either way. Anything come to mind?
It would certainly seem that that heritage block on that side
Yeah, that-
should be included in the, if you're doing the square. I mean, since
So
that
here-
actually is probably the best, you know, and we are talking about the corners too, right? If we look at that main picture, I mean, I know we talk about the fronts, but are we talking about the catty corner? Like, for instance, the
Banks.
the banks, and then the,
Option 1 does not include catty corner.
Okay.
Now we can extend that out slightly so we get those, but option 1 would be simply the facades on these front
For
buildings.
example, those
Second
2
map.
gas stations are both historical.
Yeah.
Right, right.
yeah, it
So on
would
your
seem to me
second
that
map, where you
you'd pick,
kinda
unless there was an
Option
objection, you'd
three.
pick up those
No.
corners and then run down Heritage.
Yeah, so that's option 3. If you look
Was
at
that
option 3,
three?
it extends out a little bit further. You have around the square, but then you also extend out to Elm on both sides here, and then you extend out to Flynn on both sides here on 6th. So that would be, this would be the heritage block right here.
What about Elm Street?
Elm is not included as an option here, but we can certainly add it to the option. Do you feel that these facades here are
Buildings on this
historic?
street.
Well, there's even a building further north there that, on 6th Street that I believe is historical. Right there.
And Luthi Garage.
That and
That's it, yeah.
across street as well.
Yeah, so if we, you're talking about Fur, across Fur, or across here, the alley.
It was just on 7th Street. You had your cursor there when I said, or sorry, 6th Street. I mean, right, further east, right there.
This one. Yeah, we can do, you know, whatever council wants to do. At some point, you know, if we keep extending this out, are we getting buildings that are non-historic in that district is the concern, right? And I don't know the answer to that. I've been here a year. That you guys know the answer to that.
But someone made a comment that night that I agreed with, that, you know, we do need to take care of our square and all that stuff, but, you know, the areas leading into that too needs to have that look, needs to capture what we're trying to.
So it sounds like you like the idea of extending out
I like the idea of extending that north.
this way. Okay. What about south here?
You're not really, the only place south you would go would be on 7th Street. Maybe another half a block, but,
Birch.
even maybe, yeah, Birch. Birch is right before the wire. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Stillwater Mill has a historical book as part of it even.
If we heard that starting around the square, or the facades around the square, and then moving out, if that was an option, what would be the cons of not just starting there and then waiting to see how it goes, rather than do the other first?
The biggest con I can think of is that you may have someone outside of this, the small district, do something major to their building that doesn't fit in those historic guidelines before we implemented it. Right. But that's the only thing I can think of that would really be a con, is the potential for that happening.
And there's a few implications of that, right? I mean, not just looks, but we could lose them off the registry. Which then
Or tear
hurts-
down those gas stations that are just
Yeah.
so, I mean, those are,
Yeah, as an example,
I
right?
mean, that's just a part of it. And of course, you know, I know I'm not supposed to comment, but, you know, the Heritage Building, that road down there, that's actually where some stuff is happening. So I would hate not to pick that up. That's already kind of done, right? Completely remodeled, and, I mean, that's exactly what we want. Other than that, I mean,
So Shay, to kind of answer what my fear is that we implement just around the square. And people know that this may be expanding, they may do something that isn't really what we're looking for. Because they know that that may be coming to their area, that would be my fear.
See, I think I would hope that the opposite would affect. If we concentrate on the square and we get to where we're actually a major partner helping some of these businesses, instead of rushing to go do something halfway, they'll wait until we get ready. If we decide that the entire town of Perry needs to be historic and we've got $8 that we can share with every developer, we're never going to get the community behind us. I think any town that you go into, they've got a district that you drive to. Sometimes I lock my doors to get to those districts. It doesn't stop me from going to that district. I think it's important that we go grab what we've got that is historic, we get the community behind us, and then we move out.
Yeah.
And if we lose a building or two, we lose a building or two. But we've got the community behind us, instead of it feeling like we're mandating that you can't even tear your building down,
Right.
because that doesn't fit your plan, it fits ours. Well, it's just gonna be a tough sell.
Is Sinclair not a,
It is.
it is, say,
Okay, that's super historical. And he's actually, the remodels he's done, he's been really careful about making it look historical, which I think is the idea behind this whole thing.
I think part of that's because of relationships, like how his relationship with, let's say, the city or Main Street, which is what we want. Can you opt in? So if the Heritage Center is like, yeah, we want to, you know, we're not part of the square right now, but we want to be part of this first phase, is that an option?
yeah,
That's
I mean,
the landmark.
if they did,
That'd
we
be a
could
landmark,
include
yeah.
them. We could certainly
Yeah.
ask for their consent.
Because we could start with a small district, like option 2 says, starting with that small district and then having landmarks outside of that. And we can have businesses that want to be a part of it, opt into it. Like I said, I kind of see this, this has a potential to grow. We can start small. We have limited resources, so let's be successful in a small area and then expand, show people that, hey, this will work if you do these things, and then grow from there.
When you talk about getting to the district, is that the only tool that's available is this initiative? Rather, and not any, and this is my being naive, is there nothing with code or anything that there's nothing to be done?
Code is supposed to protect people from doing things unsafe. It doesn't really have anything to do with the aesthetics,
Okay.
which that's what the historic preservation was to do, is to help with keeping it look the way that we want it to look.
the external,
The external.
not the internal. You do
No.
whatever you want on the
Right.
inside.
Right.
I mean, is that a true statement, that so long as you keep the outside looking in time of your building, that you can have psychedelic walls on the inside and it's okay?
Which more?
That's correct.
So even if it creates a risk, Like even if you have a building next to another building that like could be a fire hazard, there's nothing that can be done. That's hypothetical. I don't know why I'm looking at you, Scott, like you know everything.
That's 'cause he spoke up.
You should know by now, I don't know anything, so.
What was the question?
So if we're just looking at facades, so if there is, say, a building next to another building that other building is not safe, let's say there's tons of anything that could go up in a fire, it's a fire hazard. There's nothing that can be done that encourages that building owner to,
They could take that to the fire marshal. I mean, that
That's
would
the fire
be-
marshal,
Yeah,
too.
that would be a safety issue. That would be separate from what this historic preservation district would be
absolutely,
doing.
that's what
yeah.
I'm wondering, if there is something separate.
Yeah, there are safety measures
Mhm.
that could
Okay.
be taken. You know, it's a lot easier to enforce something like that if they were to do like an update to the building.
Mhm.
It's tough to do if they're not doing anything to the building and it's just as it is.
Mhm.
But yeah.
I mean, that was the condition of those two buildings that Phil got there on the south side. They were just packed full.
Yeah.
There's a few more.
I like the idea of starting small and working our way up.
I think 1 is too small. I like 3, but I would be okay with something in between.
2 square then, landmarks.
Square landmarks and
Mhm.
6th Street, in front of the Malzahn building on 6, the Heritage Center.
Extending down there and then doing landmarks. So this plus
Uh-huh.
landmarks.
Yeah, I really would like 3, but knowing that if we could concentrate on these and then expand.
Well, any other discussion or thoughts with that? I mean, this item was just for discussion. I think, Nate, do you have what you need, or HP committee, you guys also?
Still seems a little bit divided. I think
Mhm.
what I would maybe do if I didn't get any other action would be go back to HP,
Right.
have additional discussion. At the end of the day, it's you guys appointed them to make a recommendation to you, so
Right.
I think that would be the approach I would take based on the feedback given in this meeting.
And then you can bring something back next council meeting.
Yeah. Just whenever they came to a conclusion, which I think probably should be next council meeting.
Are we gonna have another town hall on this?
We do not have to. We can if that's what you would like to do. We're not required to by any legal codes.
Would we have to have another public hearing?
Yes.
Once we have it finalized? Yeah, once we
Yes.
have the map, just, put together.
And a mailing
Right,
and a
mailing.
publication.
Yep.
And then we have to do the mailing.
Right.
We have to do the public hearing. too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to do notice, published, mailed, and another public hearing.
So repeat of the process,
Yeah.
only with less mistakes.
Better communication.
Better communication. Okay.
So we had a motion and a second. Okay. On the table already.
Do we have a motion and a second? For-
There's a motion, I
Do
second.
anything.
Oh,
To table this till, but I don't know what we want.
oh, yeah, there wasn't any action on it, it was just discussion.
I thought I heard we wanted this to come back.
Oh. Does it take action inappropriate?
You don't- Are we set
No,
No.
with what you want?
no.
No.
Then
Just move on.
put it on the next agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, go back to
The mo-
HP committee.
The motion was until after HP committee had.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ready for roll call?
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
O'Shea. Wortham.
Yes. All right, item 15. Consider approval of first extension to the interlocal cooperative agreement pertaining to E911 services with the Board of Commissioners for Noble County, Oklahoma.
Motion approved.
Second.
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
O'Shea.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. Item 16. All right, we've got a number of items under this. So 16A, consider approval of tourism development contract with the Perry Chamber of Commerce. So typically when we do the budget, we also approve all the contracts.
Yeah, so this one was discussed last budget meeting. The only change is instead of paying 20,000, the thought was to pay 15 to show them, hey, you're headed in the right direction. Keep up the good work.
Do we have any goals in how we want to move forward for next year? Or
Is the contract still the same or?
Contract's still the same. We changed, I think, a little bit of the wording, right, Bryce and Chrissy, that I
Yes.
sent you. Just names of events, really, but contracts, yeah, essentially the same. That they're promoting tourism, that they're providing for certain events to take place and happen. I mean, I'm meeting with Katie in terms of actual, like, hey, we're gonna have you do X, Y, and Z. We don't have anything in place like that. I'm not sure, I don't know, for 15,000, I don't know if we can really, I mean, we can certainly ask, but it seems more like a partnership rather than we're hiring you to do X, Y, and Z, you know?
Do we have any for the other organizations?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
So it'd be hard
We
to
just-
ask
We have a
to
good
do that.
partnership, we have some expectations with maybe some events, but we don't have specific things goals that they're required to do this
Right.
year versus last year, you know? Like what you guys would have for me,
Mhm.
nothing like that.
I think we were previously at 20 prior,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying it has to be contractual, but do we, they're working more on economic development than they ever have, and they're doing
Yeah.
a lot of things that they, hasn't been happening. Is it just that we recognize those things and change it next year? Or do we set some things forward that we'd like to have them?
So
I don't want them going a direction that we end up saying, oh, we didn't even care about that.
So you're looking for some triggers that would move it from 15 to 20 next year? Is that what you're kind of looking for?
Frankly, my recommendation would be not to do that, but rather to count on Katie's reports to make sure she's on track in my meetings with her. And I say that for one reason, having another employee to manage and make sure they're meeting goals would be a lot for me, with
So-
already having 11 direct reports.
So in the contract today, that those quarterly reports are requested?
Yes.
Because that was one of the sticking points from last time was we weren't ever hearing anything.
Yep.
I'm excited to have a new director.
Mhm.
I think this is kind of a step in the right direction. We can always vote it to lower it or raise it based on how well that partnership is going.
Yep.
And we went with 15 rather than 20 because they're moving in the right direction. We
Yeah,
don't
the
want to
thought
just go
process
20.
was twofold. One, show them, hey, you're moving in the right direction, but it hasn't been a long time.
Okay.
And then two, that they were largely self-funded
Mhm.
through their memberships.
And you feel
Last
like that's
year-
good, Nate?
Last year,
they got 0.
Yeah, I remember,
Good.
yeah, I heard.
Okay.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
so they went from 20 to 0 to
Mhm.
now 15.
I think we did 5.
Five.
No, we did
Yeah,
5,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
we
Five,
still did
that's
that.
right.
But it was a big drop, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Nick said they're mostly self-funded with membership dues.
Mhm.
think regardless of that, this still signals a direction of us wanting to be a partner and adding to those. I think I would move that we accept this as written.
Second.
Okay. Motion and second. Roll call.
And Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall. Yes. Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
O'Shea.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes.
I probably should have said this before the vote too, but I just probably should mention Katie. I talked to Katie after last meeting when we talked about the 15 and said, hey, this is what council's thinking. She was really grateful for that show of faith in them, and I think she was okay with us moving in that direction. So.
Nate, that's a good point though about you not needing to supervise another person.
Mhm.
Thanks.
16B, consider approval of a service contract with Main Street of Perry. And so this is taking them up to 25,000?
Yeah, if you remember, Laura came back with a recommendation of, I think, doubling their amount, and I don't think we have that kind of funding right now with how tight budget is catching up with all these things, but this is, again, a show of effort of, hey, we love what you guys are doing, and, keep up the great work.
Mhm. I guess with that also kind of add in, so we do have funds available for businesses on the square as well to help with, what was it that we had passed?
Yeah.
Yeah, we passed a
Yeah.
grant
Right.
program. Yep.
I agree with that. So we are putting more into Main Street on, just besides that 25.
Yeah.
Motion to approve the service contract with Main Street.
Second.
Roll call.
And Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
O'Shea.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. 16C, consider approval of resolution number 2025-08 of the mayor and city council of the city of Perry, Oklahoma, supporting participation in the fiscal year 2025-26 Oklahoma Main Street program.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Roll call.
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
O'Shea.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. 16D, consider approval of a contract for services with David Payne as consultant to the Perry Planning Commission.
So this one, having Brian Henry resign in the last couple of weeks, we no longer have that expert talking to Planning Commission, advising Planning Commission. Renee and I do the best we can, but we're not experts in that field. Before we had David Payne, who was working with Planning Commission as a consultant to read the codes, to look at projects, and to say, hey, listen, this falls in line with the code, or this doesn't for these reasons. It was very helpful at the time. We didn't get rid of him because it wasn't helpful, but because it was redundant. We had Brian Henry to do that. We no longer have Brian Henry. This would be a proposal to reinstate David Payne's contract to act in that capacity. I've spoken with Brad Marshall, who is the chair of the Planning Commission. He said he really appreciated working with David, thought he did a great job in that capacity as a consultant. And the contract with David is for,
200.
I think it's $200 a month, yeah, so it's not like it's very expensive. And then his only proposal, I was talking with him today about it, would be some small adjustments so that he can get AutoCAD, because that is his software of choice, to do those SketchUps and site plans and things like that.
We have that in City Hall, because before it was at his house.
Yes, we can do whatever we want. Yeah, we can do whatever we want.
I don't know about AutoCAD. It's kind of dated.
It is, it's antiquated. And I don't know if that's a deal breaker for him. We may say, hey, we don't need you to use that program to do these things. Rather, we just want you to look at the site
Do
plan
we know
provided.
how much that's gonna, a license for that is?
I do, yeah. Cost-wise, it's,
1,000 or 2 or?
let's see, $3,300, $33.75 a year. So $3,375. So more than David would cost.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
For an antiquated system.
He may be okay with us just saying, hey, we would love to have you, we're not gonna reinstate AutoCAD, but we'd love to have you look at site plans and make suggestions based on our code, or,
Right.
there's other options too, but this is one
If we
option.
did, I would rather it be at City Hall and not at his house.
The AutoCAD site.
Whatever program.
Whatever, yeah, program.
And when we get a replacement for Brian, would we still need him? I mean, is that part of the contract? I mean, is this like a full 1-year contract, or is this?
Yeah, it's a good question, I haven't got into that with him. I mean, frankly, if we replace Brian with someone like Brian, we wouldn't need David.
We might in the interim.
Yeah, to train or things like that, or we might go a different direction, or maybe Brian under Larry got a bunch of extra roles that really, honestly, were never approved by council. And he probably shouldn't have gotten, not anything against him, just because, it wasn't gone about procedurally like it should have been. So I don't know that we necessarily bring back that position as it was. Maybe we make some adjustments there, and David stays on, and we have a part-time code officer and a part-time building official, or a full-time building official. I don't know. It's something that I'm still looking at, and I don't have a recommendation at this stage.
Should we hold off on this until some of those questions are addressed with David? And
Yeah, we certainly can. In fact, the contract, I wasn't even expecting it to be baked tonight, because I wasn't planning on meeting with David, and happened to run into him on my way out the door of City Hall, so we got to talk. But I just wanted to know generally what council's thought was, on doing something like this. The recommendation here is discuss and take action as deemed appropriate. So.
What's the gap feel like now, not having one?
It's not having a building official it's tough. I have very little expertise in that field, and yet I'm the one signing things, going in for final inspections, and we can do that legally because we're a city under 10,000 population. So we have that exemption where I can sign off on stuff. But am I doing it according to our code? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. That's not my expertise. So long term, we definitely want somebody who's an expert.
And he would be able to fill this gap until, David's got the experience too.
He would fill the gap in terms of advising planning commission. Yeah.
not necessarily.
Not
But
code.
not the
Not-
day.
No, yeah, sorry. I was speaking generally
So
to
this-
Brian's position.
Right,
generally.
okay.
Yeah, so he would fill part of that gap that we're missing from Brian being on.
I like David, I would like for him to fill that gap, but I don't know about $3,000 for.
Yeah, the AutoCAD doesn't make sense to me, but I mean, for him consulting the planning commission, yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Okay. That's
He's
helpful.
very, very knowledgeable.
So what was his use of the AutoCAD? Is there something on the GIS system that we could spend that same money and get something upgraded on the GIS to be able to do what needs to be done? That way it's in line with what we're currently using.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I'd have to look into it. I have no expertise in either of those softwares. But yeah, it's a good question to ask.
So what
Something I
did
can-
Brian use?
Yeah, Brian was using, we were using a firm that he was, we had GIS, we still have GIS, and he was using a firm to update that system. So,
The other thing with AutoCAD, if we put it in-house, we may not even have a machine that can run it.
Right.
Also, so it'll be another expenditure. I can't speak to that, but it's a possibility.
okay. Well, that's helpful. I feel like I got the feedback I needed, and I appreciate it. So,
So do we need to table
Do
this?
we want to wait on
until
this
you-
one? Yeah.
I
Or
don't,
do we?
Because
Go
you still
ahead
need
and
to
approve it
finalize the
as
contract.
written, because it doesn't have
I was
anything
just
in
thinking
here.
we could approve it as written, because none of this AutoCAD stuff is in there.
Right.
yeah, you certainly could, or you can let me go work with him a little bit more and come up with something else. whatever you want to do. I'm okay either way.
Was AutoCAD included on that contract?
Yeah.
No,
No? Okay.
that was what David said he wanted.
Yeah. I'd be okay. Yeah, instead of approving that without the AutoCAD for right now.
And then he can
Just
sign
have-
it or not sign it.
Right.
Well, and that way you're getting clear direction for us that we wanted to be part of the planning commission.
Yeah. That we're okay with.
Okay.
So do we go ahead and approve it or table it? Go ahead and approve? I'll
Yeah,
make a
I say we
motion to
approve.
approve the contract with Dave Fame
I'll second that.
Okay.
as written.
Roll call?
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
O'Shea.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. 16E, consider approval of a contract for services with the Perry Senior Citizens Incorporated.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call?
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
O'Shea.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. 16F, consider approval of agreement with Northern Oklahoma Development Authority, DBA Cherokee Strip Transit.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Grady.
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
O'Shea.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. 16G, consider approval of contract for services and lease agreement with Wheat Heart Nutrition Product Incorporated.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
O'Shea.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes.
Before we move on, we have a contract with the museum. Is that coming?
Yeah, we must have missed it because we did have that.
It's
It's
tied.
tied.
Yeah,
It's
it's
tied.
on
Yeah, I
item.
thought it
Okay.
was
Oh,
on there.
Yep, my bad.
Yeah, we got more.
Yep.
We're not done.
Two more.
We're not done yet.
All right, 16H, consider approval of law enforcement agreement with Noble County Commissioners and the Noble County Sheriff.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
O'Shea.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. And here it is, 16I, consider approval of tourism development services agreement with the Cherokee Strip Museum jointly owned and operated by the Oklahoma Historical Society and the Cherokee Strip Historical Society.
I'm gonna quick. Is this what we've done in the past with them?
Yeah. Yeah, no change.
I don't know that we have to do it this year or not, but I mean, I'm almost as excited about them and their new directors as I am the chamber.
Yeah, they're
And
doing
I
a
would
lot.
sure like to
Yes.
signal to them also that they're doing great things and that they're trying to work harder with us. And,
Yeah.
Man, I know we've already built our budget, but even 12,000 would be a nice gesture in the right direction if we thought we could afford it.
Yeah, they're definitely picking up more events. And I mean, they've got a couple this month that
Yes.
are, they've got.
Well, and we know about them.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
the most exciting thing is that they're working closely with us to make sure they're publicizing it, and that they're coordinating with us. I mean, that's just a huge step in the right direction.
But we have room in the budget. You know, it's like we budgeted for things that we're applying for grants for. We budgeted for things that we're gonna get, you know, hopefully get the county to contribute money towards. So we have $2,000 in the budget. If that's the question, the answer is yes.
You've had to bring that back later as a budget
Amendment,
Amendment,
yeah.
So I mean, we could at least approve this and then go back and do that.
So would we approve this amended to 12,000 instead of 10?
That I'd have to ask.
Because I mean, the contract is what we're voting on. If we didn't approve it with that raise, it wouldn't happen.
Would that have to be its own item?
To increase it by,
Uh-huh.
no, you can increase it.
Oh,
Just amend the,
Yeah, absolutely. As long as we have the money, we have money in.
because we just
Hotel,
adopted,
hotel.
well,
We
we
don't have
approved that
to
budget,
specify.
so we'd have to.
You could adopt it, and then we'll just have to pull it out of part of the capital transfers.
Okay.
So we can do it right now.
Yep.
Well, then I'd like to move that we accept this contract, but amend it to be 12,000 instead of 10.
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? Roll call. When you're ready.
Making all those changes.
Yeah.
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe?
Yes.
Marshall?
Yes.
Goldar?
Yes.
Rupp?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
O'Shea? Yes. Worthing?
Yes.
Thanks, Randy.
Yeah, they got 'em.
It's just fun to see what's going on out there.
Yeah, yeah. Item 17, new business. None. Item 18, consider convening into executive session for the purpose of 1, performance review of city manager Nate Reed pursuant to Title 25, Section 307B.1 of the Oklahoma statutes as amended. 2, for purposes of discussing negotiations with the Fraternal Order of Police Lodge Number 137 pursuant to Title 25, Section 307B.2 of the Oklahoma statutes as amended. And 3, for the purpose of conferring on a matter pertaining to the economic development of the city of Perry, including the creation of a proposal to entice residential development proximate to the corporate limits of the city. If public disclosure of the matter discussed would interfere with the development of proposal, Stonehill Edition, as such, the proposal would promote the economic development of the city of Perry.
So moved.
Second.
Yes, whatever. Motion to go to executive session.
Coffee?
Yes.
Bledsoe?
Yes.
Marshall?
Yes.
Goldar?
Yes.
Rupp?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
O'Shea? Worthing?
Yes. back. Do we have a motion to reconvene?
So moved.
Second.
And Coffee.
That's yours.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
O'Shea.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. All right, we have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
And a bunch of seconds.
Randy, got it?
Okay, Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
O'Shea.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, let's call our meeting to order for the Perry Municipal Authority and have roll call.
Okay, Coffee.
Here.
Bledsoe.
Here.
Marshall.
Here.
Davis. Goldar.
Here.
Rupp.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
O'Shea.
Here.
Wortham.
Here, we've got quorum. Item 1, consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
O'Shea.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. Item 5, consider approval of resolution 2025-01 of the Board of Trustees of the Perry Municipal Authority adopting and approving its fiscal year 2025-26 budget for the stated purposes as contained in the budget, directing its chairman, vice chairman, and trust manager to take any and all additional actions that as may be required for the implementation of this budget.
Motion to approve.
Do the numbers need to change?
Yeah, Russ is gone. Did the numbers need change?
This did have a number change.
Yes. It went up $5,000.
On this
7,000.
one?
On this one?
On this one.
Oh, no, there were no changes on this one.
Okay.
No changes on this one.
No.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
O'Shea.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. Good motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
And Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
O'Shea.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, let's call our meeting to order for the Perry Facilities Authority. Have roll call.
And Coffee.
Here.
Bledsoe.
Here.
Marshall.
Here.
Davis. Goldar.
Present.
Rupp.
Here.
Williams.
Yes.
O'Shea.
Yes.
Wortham.
Here. All right, item 1, consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
O'Shea.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. Item 5, consider approval of resolution 2025-01 of the Board of Trustees of the Perry Facilities Authority adopting and approving its fiscal year 2025-26 budget for the stated purposes as contained in the budget, directing its chairman, vice chairman, and trust manager to take any and all additional actions as may be required for the implementation of this budget. Does this one change?
Motion to approve.
Second.
And Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
O'Shea.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
And Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
O'Shea.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes.